get this party started. I feel like I'm doing this way too much this year as it is, with Nichelle Nichols, Angela Lansbury. We had women that touched my life deeply in entertainment with their acting skills and their voice work. And then to lose Kevin Conroy today, it has just been a really hard 2022. And I know I read some of the comments because Gallagher apparently died too. For me, with Gallagher's death, because I didn't really know him outside the suspenders and smashing stuff when I was little, I can't weigh in too heavily on the dude. It's just losing another thing that I was used to, another icon from my childhood that kind of sucks. With the Queen dying, 2022 has been a constant reminder that this world isn't promised, that life is too short, and so much went on Tuesday. So I'm definitely going to get to that, but I want to remind people that even if you're only here for a little bit, and Kevin Conroy was here for 66 years, he gave us 66 years of not only brilliant voice acting, uplifting people, he did everything he could to be a hero to kids and adults alike. And for me, he's always going to be the voice of Batman, the animated series. Now, I know that there are other amazing talented voice actors who have stepped into role in future stuff, but for me, whenever I think of Batman, the animated series, I am going to hear that baritone that came out of his mouth, and he's going to be deeply missed. And so, one thing I've learned about getting older is you don't get used to the fact that you're burying people that you care about, but it does tend to be a normal thing for you. And as a Gen Xer, it feels like I'm constantly, there's no permanence for us. So, yeah, it really sucks to have to say goodbye to somebody who was a legend, who was a big part of our childhood, but that sadly is the reality of the situation. He will most definitely be missed. We're gonna go from that bit of sadness to a lot of the topic tonight because it's all over the place. I know. Some of y'all want pat on the back and a high five for what you did. And if you voted on Tuesday, kudos to you. I don't care how you voted. I'm gonna get to the breakdown later for some of you because you've been on some shit. But if you are a young adult right now, anybody under the age of 30, I'm going to give you a little bit of kudos, but I'm going to stop you right there because some of you have already crossed the territory of, I voted. So now you've got to give me everything you want. The problem with the idea that your vote is more than you elected somebody to be your voice. The problem with the whole I need to start making demands now is y'all just started. You're new to this, and you only came out in the 27th percentile altogether. Yes, we want more of you motivated and doing so, but the energy that you have to try to start making demands, you need to start organizing a bit more and getting them numbers up. Because what's troubling me is the fact that you're high-fi and included, giving yourselves kudos when you didn't flip your states. And we're going to get to that tonight because I know it was beyond some of you. But it is troubling to me the amount of entitlement that I am still seeing when we could potentially lose our house. We don't know yet. And that's another reason why I didn't jump on immediately on Wednesday. I needed time to not only calm down, but to figure out what kind of mess, how big the mess is. I can tell you this, over 100 election deniers got in. Whether you like it or not, 2024 is going to have to be navigated around some serious fuckery because people didn't understand the assignment. And then you've got these people who finally are starting to wake up slowly to what they got to do, being championed by people who barely have gotten their political chops in, telling them, oh, now we need to make demands. We need to show them. And it's like, y'all need to get those numbers up. I'm not trying to knock the fact that 27% of y'all came out and tried to do the thing. But could you imagine if 50% of you, 70% of you, or as my demographic will show you, 93% of black women. These poll numbers don't lie. And I'm not even I'm not even clear on the Uvalde thing yet, but I'm gonna break that down in a moment. This is from Georgia. The fact that 72% of white women, welcome to the chat beans, said Kemp's ridiculous ineptitude. The fact that hospitals are closing, even though COVID's still a thing. The fact that the state is hemorrhaging funds. The fact that there is just a whole ass moral depression in that state is not enough. You had Stacey Abrams, not only with a plan for your state, with a way to make all Georgia feel seen, heard, and lifted up. And 72% of you said, no, I gotta protect my whiteness. These numbers don't lie. And then use all week, instead of realizing that your new job, your new assignment is to collect your kin. Go after your cousins who had 72% said, them taking my rights ain't bad. The repeal of Dobbs ain't bad. Welcome to the chat, G. Feldman. No, y'all were in my face, Nicole's face, Leah's face, any black woman who is prominent on Twitter, we got you're not all. I was even going to be a little bit easier on y'all tonight because honestly, our collective problem is white men, and I'm going to get to them tonight. But the amount of white women threatening us, talking about, well, you don't need us anyway. Well, I'll just stay home. Bitch, y'all did. Because it wasn't just the women who apparently will vote Republican no matter what. It was you heifers that didn't take this shit seriously, that smiled in our face, talking about BLM, blue wave, and sat your asses home yet again. The numbers don't lie. Y'all want to hit me with, the gerrymandering, Tin? It was gerrymandered. Gerrymandering affects my demographic strongly. We constantly deal with voter suppression tactics, districts being literally carved up and trying to keep us out. But you know the demographic who doesn't normally have to deal with the gerrymandering issue, who could go to a polling center with people assuming that you're just going to vote the other way anyway? White people. And you let us down again. And instead of understanding that now you really need to get it together, you're threatening us. You're talking about, oh, you don't need us anyway. We'll just pull our allyship. And you know what? You weren't fucking allies in the first place. I'm not going to be nice about this tonight because the last thing I read before I went live was this white woman saying, well, you know why we didn't vote for Stacey Abrams in Georgia? Because she's an angry black woman. It's like, you know what? We have every fucking right to be angry. Stacey has held herself with composure. Val held herself with composure. But you're so afraid to let us lead you away from the fucking archaic standards. You're so afraid that we're going to do a damn good job and show you that, yes, women can. And you have proven to us that we cannot do this with you. So now you don't got to worry about me petitioning your asses anymore. You've done shown me in a 72% range where you stand when it comes to your daughter's rights, when it comes to my rights, because I can still bear kids, when it comes to anybody who isn't a straight right, supposedly Christian person. And I'm saying person at this time, trying to be nice about this because honestly, they don't even care if you're alive after you push out a baby. If you're able to safely push out a baby, but that doesn't seem to get through to your fucking brain. So I don't know anymore. But the fact that you've taken the last few days to try to fix your face to threaten your allyship when we don't consider you allies. Black women, we already knew we were on our own in this situation. And honestly speaking, if you did the right thing, you know I'm not talking about you. But for the people who felt guilty, who felt the need all week to come with their not all, to come with their threats, to come with their insults, you have all this smoke for Cheryl Beasley, who did the damnedest to win North Carolina. And it don't even make sense to me how she didn't. Florida has always been a fucking mess. And while I was shocked that Charlie Crist didn't do better, I'm not surprised because when I lived in Florida, I remember the hanging chads. I remember how Al Gore literally had an election stolen. So I did not have high hopes for Florida, but I didn't give up. I have seen too many supposed Dems right after the fact talking about unwinnable already, giving up, throwing in the towel, and use a part of the problem too. Because that language gives people an out. That language gives people excuses, and we need all hands on deck because I'm going to say it again for those of you who still don't understand the assignment. 100 election deniers have made it into our House of Representatives. Even though we don't know who has the House majority right now, it is still being counted, it's still up in there. We still have literal election deniers. And while my state, thank God, fought the good fight and we are safe blue for now, we have our governor, we have several senators, we have my district decided we don't need that GOP bullshit currently. But there are a lot more states that are heavily more purple than I care to admit, way more red than they need to be. And we are going to be in trouble in 2024 if we don't take this seriously. What troubles me about what happened on Tuesday wasn't the fact that Republican women voted Republican. They fall in line. They've been perfectly indoctrinated to do what they're supposed to do. I can't fault these women for their indoctrination. It is very strong. The idea of being shunned, the idea of not doing what you're supposed to do. Nah. What troubles me is the amount of performative, fronting motherfuckers who, oh, I'm your ally, Tin. Defund the police and other little fucking stunts that you knew would not help my community. Talking over us, telling us that there was going to be a blue tsunami, a blue wave. And yet, on the other side, they did predict their red wave. Both of y'all were wrong. Barely a fucking trickle, and it's shameful. And like, yet again, I need to remind you that it ain't my demographic. 93% of black women turned out for the Dems again. Because we understood the assignment. We knew there is no such thing as a safe election. We understood we wanted better governors. So many of you don't understand the ramifications of having election deniers in key positions where they could fuck with our voter integrity, where they can do things like be Secretary of State and not certify a national or even state election. I need you to start understanding your power because apparently you don't think it's worth anything. Apparently you don't understand what it's like to have local incompetent people representing you. And apparently you want us to go back to how it was when we were under 45 because you aren't fucking taking this seriously. And what really sticks in my craw about especially that young lady from tonight, and I really shouldn't even highlight her bullshit because that is exactly what it was. Garbage. Her arrogance in this. Her whole attitude to me and to other black women. Like we owe them. Like, oh, I guess I'll just take my allyship home. Ma'am, your demographic voted for fascism at 72%. You don't get to threaten us at this point. It's like a hostage negotiator that's holding a banana. You are not threatening us because we already know we can't trust you. I tried to wrap my brain around the hubris at this point, and I just can't because I have never been a white woman. So I legitimately, my brain is just not wired to pretend that I can understand the level of arrogance. But she fixed her mouth full on to say that, we'll just stay home. And it's like, okay, okay, stay home then. Matter of fact, because I don't want to give her any more attention than she deserves. Her direct quote was, "Someone should study how these comments of yours will never bring those white women to the Democratic Party." Okay, the fact that their rights were being stolen, the fact that so many of them died to COVID, we're not here to bring over white Republican women. That wasn't the goal. The goal was the sister girls who swore up and down that they were going to knit a pink pussy hat. They take protest photos. They swear up and down there was going to be a blue wave, and they're lifelong hard carrying Dems, but they don't organize. They don't really care who votes. It's all self driven. And if you're self driven in your politics, if you can't see the bigger picture, if you don't want everybody to benefit, which I'm starting to see a certain demographic, that is your mindset. Of course, we are going to keep seeing turnout like this. But when you go to the demographic that constantly votes beyond ourselves, the demographic that constantly wants better for all of us, and act like we're the problem? No, 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 no. Mm-mm. I wanted to be calm about tonight, and then she kept going. And it was just like, how dare you even? How do you even fix your mouth after Tuesday's abysmal turnout? Because that is the heart of what happened on Tuesday. No matter what, no matter how much we keep telling you how important it is, not enough Americans take it seriously. We warned you that they are going to restrict our access to the ballot if you don't take it seriously. We gave you measures if you couldn't get out to the physical polls. We told you about early voting and absentee ballots in your state if it's open to have that. So many of you did not have excuses, but you still didn't do your civic duties. And we are going to pay the price for your apathy. Some of you's men, because black men don't think I didn't notice. Some of you were like, well, 84% of black men turned out. But where the rest of yous? Y'all want to convince me all the time that yous are protectors. You got our backs, but no. We are literally in a runoff now in Georgia because black men couldn't show up and be the protectors that they claim to be. Give us a solid win for Reverend Warnock against a literal CTE cabbage. There's a serious chance that fucking Herschel Walker could infect our Congress because y'all didn't do your homework. You didn't understand the assignment. And unlike the other demographics who, yeah, I can call you out from the sidelines and it's not going to matter anyway because they're white and they think they're right, black men, you should fucking know better. Y'all did Stacey dirty, you did Val dirty, you did Beto dirty, and you fucking did all of us dirty by not showing up matching black women. And unlike other demographics who would be like, well, 85 is enough. No, 84% is not 93%. That means way too many of you fell for that dusty ass okie doke. Way too many of you decided, my vote don't matter. That ain't gonna change. It doesn't matter if our hospitals in our neighborhoods are closed down. It doesn't matter if Medicaid is restricted for our people and we're dying. It doesn't matter if black businesses don't get contracts because the governors are fucking up in your face racist. It wasn't enough. Y'all in there listening to fucking Killer Mike, who's already a millionaire. He don't give a fuck about you. Listening to Ice Cube with his plans to get you nowhere. Black men, you let us down. And I can say it because I'm feeling the effects of your ignorance. I'm feeling the effects of your hate for my femininity, my black womanhood. Because if you didn't, you'd be matching us. There's absolutely no reason why we are consistently in the 93%. Everybody else is playing catch up. And then we broke it down by generation. And I went on my tangent about Generation X. I understood that our generation is not an easy generation to define. Some people don't even think we exist. But if you are over the age, I would say, of 40, I consider you Gen X. I feel like we seen a lot of changes, good, bad, and in between. We live with the threat of nuclear. We live with Russia being the enemy and then supposedly an ally and then an enemy again. But what we also dealt with was this weird entertainment of awful people. Everybody from Archie Bunker to Alex P. Keaton. You had the old bigot that was given that cuddly persona, and then the young bigot that was given that okay persona. White people, you were constantly given entertainment that said their level of acceptable bigotry was all right. And it's that level of acceptance in our entertainment, in our circles, that we didn't confront when we should have. Michael J. Fox is a brilliant actor. I don't believe he has a hateful bone in his body. But when he played Alex Keaton, it made me sick as a kid. I did not like his character. But a lot of my friends thought he was the shit. Thought that guy from Wall Street was the shit. And they wanted to emulate that. And then you feed them that cocktail of toxic radio, like Howard Stern, which I used to listen to him when I wanted to be a pick me girl. You had throw in Rush Limbaugh, which I did not because I could not stand that man. Fox News, Breitbart, and the fucking toxic cocktail of Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, and our generation didn't have a fucking chance. Constantly told that this world is not good enough for you and you need to protect your whiteness, and all these fucking wannabe white power rally types from my generation who were listening to Public Enemy, who would make us mixtapes of rap and stuff, all of a sudden wear fucking MAGA hats. And I can't even act like I'm shocked by it. And then what troubles me about yesterday even was that lady that I don't think they're following me anymore. I hope they hit the unfollow because I'm not following you back. Their whole solution to the situation was not outreach, not working within their communities to get white turnout to understand that voting against their best interest. Their solution was we need to stop seeing the poll data breakdown by demographic because that's divisive. You can't make this shit up. They don't want us to see the breakdown because that's divisive. They don't want to confront the issue, and that is a problem with white people. Y'all have been coddled. Y'all have been told don't think about it. Y'all have been given constant entertainment that exemplifies the awful aspects of your demographics personality as normal, as cuddly, as acceptable. And when called out, you push back because no, this is my normal. And because of that, because we are seeing a world that says no, it's not acceptable, y'all are pushing back. And we all get hurt from that pushback. You can threaten us all you want with your non-existent vote at this point. It's not going to matter in the long run if we're all living in fucking Gilead. And I say living very loosely because we've all seen how those books are written for Black women and women of color. For anybody not considered white, to my Jewish sisters. We are in danger because we cannot trust a certain demographic not to center themselves, not to put their needs ahead of all the rest of us. And the rest of us need to get it together too. Because I can collect the next of all the white men and women I want. But when I look at how our groups could be working together, forming coalitions like our aunties and uncles did back during the civil rights era, why aren't we doing that? And not for TikTok likes or selfies. We need real on the ground organization, unsung organization, but effective. I know it can be done. I know it is being done in certain areas, but we need to expand. And it can't be about making stars because that's been troubling in politics lately. Unless they are actually running for something, we shouldn't know who's doing the footwork for that. Because that has been a real treacherous thing to navigate. Amplifying people who want to do the work but aren't trying to make it about themselves has been like a landmine lately. There have been way too many people who want to be fucking Twitter, TikTok, YouTube famous on their supposed activism, but they ain't pushing this activism. And when we need people at the polls, when we need elders getting ride to the polls, when we need the people to vote, and you're not doing that, no, I'm not going to help you line your pockets. We have seen far too many people making it lucrative to doomsay, going to fucking Cabo, living it up, but karma came for those bitches too. Karma came, they are losing a lot because of their nonsense. I hope it was worth it. But to those of us who got to get things done, those of us part of marginalized groups, this is our wake-up call. We can't rely on the other. They're already threatening us with their non-existent vote. So if you're a black woman, I know we already understand the assignment, but now we need to work with all the rest of our sister girls who have always felt like, I'm not sure if it matters for me. I'm not sure if my voice matters at all, and it does. If you're an Asian American, you should be turning out because these last few years have been hell for you in your own country. And your voice and your power matters. If you're Hispanic, because I hate using Latinx and Latin, I don't know what people want to call themselves. I don't give a fuck at this point. If you under the blanket come from any of the countries that would be considered Hispanic, Spanish, Latino, whatever, and you are still voting against your own best interest, even as they are burying your kids to gun violence and everything else, I don't know what else to tell you. But those of you who understood the assignment, I know we can work together and make a complete front. And I know my Jewish sisters didn't, they're part of the 27%. They're the ones who can brag. The rest of you heifers, you ain't fooling nobody. You fucking latte liberals talking about how you turned out. No, you didn't. And that's the problem. Y'all think turning out is just saying stuff on Twitter. But turning out is making sure that everybody in your circle voted. Everybody in my house that could vote, voted. Everybody who's going to be able to vote next year will vote in any special election because that is how you do it. And then you make sure that people in your neighborhood that you understand and can talk to vote. But you got to be careful with that. I had some yahoo banging on my door the other day trying to be intimidating. And unfortunately for him, I am dating a 6-foot man who isn't afraid to take out a weapon and make sure you fucking leave. So I don't know what the point of that was, but voter intimidation won't work here. They hung my family from trees. You will not stop me from doing my civic duty. The problem with our country, though, is too many people still don't get what's on the line. And I don't want to see us get to the bad for you to wake up. But some of you are really, when we were little, there was a lesson that I learned at school. Teacher said that there are some people whose brains are wired to not see or feel danger until it happens to them. They called it the stove test. And how some kids automatically knew, don't touch that, it's hot. But some kids legitimately had to get burnt before they realized that something was bad. And it feels like that is America in a nutshell. Too many of you need us to burn before you realize that burning is not a good thing. And I am freaking tired of this because I didn't sign up for this. I vote. My family votes. We do our thing collectively every time we're called to do it. My demographic does what they're supposed to do. And some of you will still act like you've got the hubris to tell me that maybe you'll just sit home. You've been sitting home. That's the problem. And you should feel ashamed. But what you should also feel is motivated to stop being the fail demographic. Stop being the demographic that we can all clearly look at and say, these are the foot soldiers for fascist fuckery. It's you. If you don't want that to be you, then you need to do something about it. Organize. Talk to your sister girls, because I can't. They don't respect my black ass. They would rather argue with us about whether or not you're calling us out. That's not gonna bring us over. And it's like, nothing brings you over. Like, how is that a threat when you legitimately have shown us that you're not gonna be useful to us? Like, I really think that y'all think that you still can control the narrative, that you could still center the conversation. Ma'am, you're at the kiddie table from now on. Until proven otherwise, most white women for me are at the kiddie table of politics. Y'all are low information voters. Y'all won't vote to save all of us. And then you make threats and demands when you're only coming in the 27 percentile range for trying to help us save democracy. Y'all don't know. Kiddie table forever for now. We'll do a need to see basis, but y'all need to get those numbers way up on the Democratic side before I ever get you out of the kiddie table. Because this is ridiculous at this point. You try to wrap your mind around people's antics. When turnout was abysmal in so many states, when so many Republicans cruised unchallenged into seats, when our House may be up for red grab, and the nerve of some of you acting like you did enough just because you did something. Acting like you did enough when you knew neighbors and family were going to vote against all of our best interests. But you hoped enough people directly what you thought impacted, will carry you. It is that slave owner's mentality that some of you's never shed it, but you think we don't see it. And it's exhausting. Whew. Speaking of exhausting, let me get a drink of water. When I say the mental fatigue is great, it's great because I shouldn't have to keep beating this drum. I shouldn't have to keep telling you what's at stake. All I've asked of anybody, whether you vote one way or the other, is to invest yourself politically. Take this shit seriously. Our turnout numbers show me that you still don't get that. It's still not pressing enough for you. The fire still isn't burning you. And I don't want that. I don't want us to repeat those dark moments of history where we literally have an oppressive regime murdering people before you realize how bad it is. I know some of you have your little resistant fantasies. We've seen it all over Twitter for years. But you shouldn't want to live in a country where you have to resist the government. I know some of you were bred on the anti-government lean, especially if you're white. That seems to be like a almost mantra for some of y'all's households. But a decent, functioning government is what we need, deserve, and have to work towards. Having senators, House reps, even your comptroller care about your neighborhoods shows. It shows whether you got crumbling infrastructure. It shows whether your neighborhoods are being refurbished like they have been doing in downtown Saginaw and all around. People have all this nasty mouth about Michigan, but ever since we legalized pot, we have been channeling money into neighborhoods that people used to never want to mess with. We are turning our state around. And it is because we elected people that give a fuck about our state. And it pains me when I look at Georgia. It pains me when I look at Texas, especially. Florida, I'm be honest. I don't like the whole idea of throwaway states. I don't like the whole idea of unwinnable elections. But Florida is the only state I will give the caveat that there is shenanigans and fuckery going around. So as much as I wanted to get my hopes up for Florida, I couldn't trust it because of the stuff I went through when I was down there, the shenanigans I seen firsthand down there. But for the other states, there was absolutely no excuse. Beto should be a fucking governor right now. Stacey Abrams should have been governor right now. And you can't make me wrap my head around the fact that burying literal children in coffins wasn't enough. Having hospitals shut down isn't enough. Having complete state incompetence, losing billions of dollars because your governor decided to ship migrants. And don't even get me started on Abbott's border stunts that cost us money, that's fucked up our line of supply so much that our grocery bills are ridiculous from it. But people don't want to see that direct correlation because they still have that plausible deniability. It doesn't affect me directly. I make enough. I can pay a little bit higher a grocery bill and complain about it on Twitter. I have a cart full of Sprouts and other unreasonable cut things and complain how much I spent at Whole Foods. Whole paycheck, more than likely. We are in a very tenuous position right now because we have a lot of people who want to show off, want to complain, but don't want to do their civic duties. And then we have the rest of us who are tired. We do the right thing, but we are watching this world continuously flip us off for wanting better for all of us. And I can't act like that's not exhausting. I can't act like it's not tiring. We deserve better. Those of us who not only turn out, but want better no matter who is in charge. We do not deserve to constantly have sand kicked in our face for thinking that this world deserves competent leadership, thinking that even if this person's a yokel, even if they are the most hateful, spiteful motherfuckers, they deserve health care, they deserve safe neighborhoods, they deserve education. Because being pragmatic, that is the reality of my situation. I ain't about knowing everybody's business, but I am about everybody having a better area, a better place to be. And it feels lonely sometimes. It feels tiring that there aren't more people out there wanting this and pushing towards it, because that's the only way we're going to survive this nonsense. And then when you couple it with what's going on in our hangouts, even, because I feel like it is imperative. We might not have Twitter for 2024. Elon Musk has shown in 2 weeks what a billionaire with no fucking insight, with no actual savvy, can do to a site that legitimately the last 4 years grew exponentially and became a social hubbub for both politics, entertainment, and just average everyday people who want to meet and connect and just talk to one another. And in the right hands, Twitter could have been marketed properly. In the right hands, you might have even convinced me to shell out money for a Twitter Blue. But giving apartheid edgelord $8 so that he could recoup the $44 million that he dropped on something he didn't even know how to fucking work? No. And I am so glad that as of today, he had to stop his little $8 project because unlike his plan, his plan was supposedly genius. We'll make the bots pay $8 and then we'll suspend them. We'll still get their money. Mustache twirl. That didn't work. In fact, your little stunt cost billions to both the pharmaceutical industries because of tweets and other little stunts because anybody could pay that $8, pretend to be somebody else, and cause all kinds of market issues. Way to go, Elon. Maybe stick to making fucking cars because social media is not your wheelhouse. And of course, dissatisfied Twitter employees have been taking to Twitter and other social media things to vent because he went from you don't have to work in the office to we need all hands on deck because I'm hemorrhaging money. He probably took out loans from people who aren't very nice to get this. And this is not going to be a good time for him. And the karma is sweet to me. It sucks that we are going to lose something that many of us have had for years. I've been on Twitter for 12 years. But when I say it is something that could have been marketed better with somebody with more insight. It's far from the only one. I look at Zuckerberg's nonsense because he is laying off 11,000 employees. That's the size of a fucking city. 11,000 people right before the holidays are out of work because he, in his hubris, decided, I want to make the virtual world. I want to be the first. I want to get in on the ground floor of making digital presence social media. And in hindsight, fine, if you do it right. This motherfucker, I've legitimately been playing video games since the early 80s. When I say that I've played Me Universe and have better graphics than the current metaverse, honestly, y'all just gave avatars legs, and I don't even know if that's relevant yet. Because apparently, in the research that I did, the video which you having legs was just that. It's not live yet. So you're telling me that your whole idea for this new digital social media experiment is a legless avatar doing stand up, doing board meetings, going to a virtual Walmart, shit that you can do in real life and hate? And that is your goal, that is your insight to how the future of digital social media is going to be? No wonder you lost 15 billion freaking dollars. But this is what's the problem with white tech bros running shit into the ground gets us. Because they can afford to do this. This is a blunder, but they will always be given the grace to fuck stuff up for us, and it's infuriating. Because I was telling Greg, and I'm not going to say my ideas for free. I almost made that mistake. I almost started spouting off what Metaverse could have and should have been doing. But that, no, you're not going to use my black brain to make yourself money. I am just shocked that with all the people that you might still have working for you, even though after losing 11,000 people, I don't think you have a lot in that think tank in the first place. But you don't have anybody to talk directly to the leadership and say, people don't use social media to do mundane bullshit that they can do in real life. It is supposed to be escapism. And that's all I'm going to give to that. Because the idea that I went over with Greg, even he said, oh, I would do that. I would do that in a heartbeat. So many of us look for outlets online. That's why we go and log on to Twitter every day. That's why we used to go to Facebook. That's why we used to go to MySpace, a place where you can hang out, share ideas, share media, interact with one another. That's always going to be something that humans utilize. Whether you're an introvert like me, whose only socialization is online, or you're an extrovert who are just looking for ways to add to your group and experience. We are going to see a digital world happen. But I don't think it's going to be done right in the hands of a tech bro. It's going to have to be ground up, independent done with people who don't have the money, really, but who have the insight and the vision on what people want, who have that mindset to understand what people can afford and what people should have to pay. Because the thing about Twitter was the reason why it grew so exponentially was because it was free, because it was technically free. They were harvesting our data. They were algorithm farming and catering ads to us because those ads sold them. So I do not think in the hands of somebody smarter, Twitter would be hemorrhaging the way it is. But we don't have smart people with billions of dollars, sadly. We have men who got lucky. We have men called geniuses, but when you put their feet to the fire, they are anything but. We have this weird sense of, well, they have to be smart. They run these Fortune 500 companies. A lot of them were trust funders who always have people saying yes to them, who never knows what it's like to have something fail. Or if they do, they just cover it up like it wasn't me. Same thing, but And we keep this weird illusion around them instead of realizing that we gotta stop letting these motherfuckers supposedly lead us. They really don't know what they're doing. But yet here we are, watching what could be the last days of one of our favorite hangouts, watching places like Facebook completely hemorrhage their workforce. And they are far from the other ones. I mentioned Bitstrip. I used to do a little comment on Bitstrips because I was a customer service agent for a while. And one of the things I like to do to let off steam was just do little 3D, well, not 3D, little comic strips. Let me see if I can pull one of these up. And it was because Bitstrips allowed you to utilize their assets to make up your comic strips that you could just for weeks on end. I would either do my How May I Help You comic strip, or I started to get creative and some of my short stories I wanted to full on use the site for. And unfortunately, I was far from the only one who had the idea to utilize that site, and traffic was great. They had high traffic of people coming on, clicking, utilizing their resources, but they didn't know how to market it. They didn't know how to make a premium for creators where we could have paid or at least made some money and opted in and sold our strips. They didn't know how to utilize it. And because of that, Bitstrips fell. Now they have Bitmoji, which is not the same. I've used it. It's fun to make the little emoji avatars. It is not the same as having all the resources to create full on comic strip. When you have issues, especially with mobility, when you have issues with any kind of physical or mental ailments, having something that helps you do your creative stuff accessible, it's a godsend. But unfortunately, because they couldn't figure out how to market it, we lost it. And sadly, that is going to be a lot of the reality in our digital age. We're going to see a lot of places that should have done better, that could have done better under better leadership. So busy trying to worry about the bottom line instead of worrying about the viability. Not understanding the how to channel profits, how to take care of your staff and the people using your product. Instead, we have a lot of people who have never been told no in their life running our stuff into the ground, and it's frustrating. I really want this to be different. I'm lucky I'm able to say this on Twitch because so far, outside banning gambling, which I was okay with, Twitch has been pretty good to its creators. YouTube is pretty decent to its creators. There's a hands-off approach with some things, and there's a heavy-handed moderation with other things. It's fine. But when it comes to social media should be free unless you want to pay for it. And it should always be an option because we are the driving force. If people aren't interested in using your platform, you can't market it. And the thing with Twitter was we were the reason why Twitter was so popular. Not the bots, not the exploitable stuff. The people who got on and shared your life, shared your pet pics, shared your family, shared you. The real people on this. Even if you had to use a fake name because you didn't want to lose your job, even if you had to use an avatar that didn't look like you, the people who got on all day, every day to interact with one another, you made that site. And now we are watching our hangout be tanked, and it fucking sucks. And it's not the end of the world like some people want to make it out to be. We'll move on as Black Twitter has. I was hollering. The last 2 days made me smile because Black Twitter always knows how to turn something negative into a positive. I seen that wake pamphlet. Oh my god. I thought I was gonna snort my brain out laughing because of how creative Black Twitter is. And that pamphlet on Twitter's demise was just a fucking chef's kiss. We know because we have lost things. We have World Star that's gone, especially after white people invaded it. We had MySpace, Zanga. It's not the first time any of us has had to stop hanging out someplace. We're the ones that used to make Facebook cool until we stopped. So we will find the next new place. We will hang out, congregate, make that place lucrative, and then hopefully no more tech bros will buy them because they'll learn the cautionary tale of the apartheid edgelord. But even if they do, as a Gen X, I learned nothing's permanent anyway. Enjoy what you can. I got 12 solid years. I've made amazing friends. Some of y'all are sitting in this chat right now. You watch me go from trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life to being a published author. I went from living single to being with the love of my life. My child is a star. Next year he's going to be 18, and most of you got to see him grow up with me. So say what you want about Twitter, but I have so many good memories. So many ups, downs, and in betweens, but I got to share it with so many people, and I don't regret that. It's funny because I was stubborn about not wanting social media. I was like, I already got a Facebook. I don't want a freaking Twitter. What's a Twitter? And then 12 years later, I am legitimately choked up with the thought that it could be gone because of Elon Musk's hubris, and it kind of sucks because it was a good place and it still is a good place until the wheels fall off. I still see everybody I want to see. They still see me. I know there was that, oh, it's going to throttle you. He's going to make sure that people can't see your tweets. But if somebody's already following you, that shouldn't be an issue. If you're not in it to try to make it a business, which I know technically being a writer, more exposure would be a good thing. I don't care about that stuff. I've always been weird. I'm kind of in the mindset, and I'm not trying to be morbid, y'all. This is just how my introvert brain works. I want my story out there. I don't want it to be popular until after I'm gone. I know that sounds crazy, especially in the digital viral age where everybody wants to be famous. I don't want people bothering me. One of my friends who has been a champion for my work was pounding me about, well, you need to do book signings and this and that. Nope. I don't want to deal with that. I want to be the type of author that people go, I wish I could have met her. I don't want to be famous. I honestly know it's weird, and I know that I spit in the face of so many people that are like, nah, I want to be famous. Why'd you do what you do? Because I like storytelling. I love character creating. I want to build worlds that people care about. But I don't really care if people remember me. I want them to remember the characters. And I know that doesn't make sense to some people because, like I said, we are literally in the day and age where everybody's just trying to be famous. Everybody's trying to be viral. Everybody's trying to get their name remembered. But if people remember my characters, if years from now people are talking about the worlds I built in literature, that's, to me, that makes my heart happy. And that's all I want. I don't care if this falls to a wayside and I never get as many followers as I did on Twitter again. It's not about that. It's about making those strong connections with actual people. It's about fostering that trust that you can be your unapologetic self, whether you have mental health problems, whether you have a so called physical deficiency, as some people wanted to call it. Because I know I heard all the stuff about my teeth, I heard all the stuff about my weight. I don't care. I'm confident that I wasn't here for you in that light anyway. So I didn't have to be your cup of tea. I'm my own whole drink of bourbon. Thank you very much. But there are a lot of people out there that I know this site shutting down potentially, and I'm saying potentially, somebody could save it. We don't know. But Twitter ending is not going to be the end of your world. I saw the young man put that out there, and I know the chances of him seeing these Bonnet Chronicles is slim. But on the chance that somebody shows this to you or clips this, I know that the last 3 years have been hard. Being shut in, if that's not your personality, or even if it is, the world being a big, scary, sick place, your only interaction, your only socialization is social media. And I know that losing some place that you had a lot of friends sucks, but those friends will still be there. And you can move on to another medium. You got to stop acting like there's so much permanence in life. And I know for young people, especially, change sucks and it feels like the end of the world for you. But you have moved to so many different mediums yourself. And I can't believe that this young man really believes that the end of Twitter means that's it for him. But I feel like there's an underlying depression that we really need to start taking seriously, and we don't currently have the resources for. And that scares the crap out of me because there are way too many people hurting right now. And I want to see less of you hurting and sad. Change will happen whether we like it or not, but it doesn't have to be the end of us. And if you are in a low place and you can't afford to get help, because that is a reality too, please reach out to your friends. Whether you got to do it on social media, whether you got to do it via text, we all have somebody. And I don't want to hear it because I know there'll always be that sad side. I ain't got nobody. I'm by myself. I'm surly. No, sir, ma'am. You just give everybody attitude. But even your surly ass has at least one person that gives a crap about you. You need to reach out to them. Every human being has somebody that cares about them, and too many of you take that for granted. Life is too short. We got some wins too. And that is what I want to wrap this up on because, yeah, I came out fired up. 72% of you let us down in so many states, but a lot of blue districts. Not only one, but we flipped a few red seats too. We got Pennsylvania for Lynn. That was something that I was really worried about. I do not like Fetterman. I'm not going to hide it. I didn't hide it, but I wanted the seat. I wanted to make sure that that carpetbagger Oz didn't come in and ruin our chances for a Senate majority. And while I'm not happy that John Fetterman is already up to shenanigans with his let's split between me and Ralph Warnock, who is in a fucking runoff for donations, which I don't understand what he's doing, but I'm glad Condi called him out. But he won the seat, and we hopefully will have a senator who will vote accordingly from Pennsylvania, because that's all I can ask for at this point. But we who understand the assignment need to turn out for Georgia, because I do not want to see Georgia make the mistake of sending Herschel Walker in the state for this state. I just can't. And I know that it was close. So close that they have to do a runoff. But it should have been a blowout for Reverend Warnock. It should have been him cruising to another 4 years. And instead, we literally seen white people say, nope, we need a black man that's going to do what we need him to do. We need a black man that will be a puppet for white supremacy. We need Herschel Walker. And it saddens me that their race is this close. But it doesn't surprise me. We really need to get on the ball or we are going to lose our country. And I know some of you think you'll be safe. I know some of you think you will survive it. Like I said, I've seen your resistance fantasies. But the reality is, we all lose if you don't take your political investment seriously. I'm going to get ready to wrap this up. I will be back on Tuesday, hopefully. I hope that you have a great weekend. I hope you get some downtime with your family. They're predicting some winter weather here, so I'm already in a tired mood from it. Wish humans could hibernate. But honestly speaking, I want to thank you all for constantly being supportive, constantly being in chat, and just constantly having my back. I really appreciate you all. But I'm going to get ready to go have some dinner with family, and I will see you all on Tuesday. Okay, honey. I knew it. I was trying to let you. Go on. So much. I will see you on Tuesdays. Have a great weekend.